boom, 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 boom.
Oh, yeah, we got no intro music this time, right? Because usually you're doing that.
Well, I have my computer. I could have actually done the sound
We
effects.
probably could have, yep.
Dang it.
No, we'd have to hook it up all the way to Zoom. Anyway, welcome to the show, guys. This is a little different this time. This is going to be called REELtalk.
We keep it real.
We keep it totally real.
Yeah, 100, as the kids say it.
100. So Jared is away this week.
Mm-hmm.
He is in LA doing his personal project, which is called 6 Degrees.
Which means just him screwing off and doing nothing.
Pretty much.
By the pool.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So Todd has taken over the throne, the almighty throne. And we'll be doing a separate one-off show every once in a while. I think when Jared is gone, we'll do this show called REELtalk.
Yeah.
It'll just be me and Todd,
Yep.
and it'll be very video-centric with a couple photo segments thrown in here and there if I want to like show a recent
Yep.
photo shoot or still relate to the people who watch normally RAWtalk.
Yeah, yeah.
They can still watch along with us.
I take some photos every once in a while.
You got something coming up, I think, right?
Well, it's that time of year where Morgan has Nutcracker and ballet and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So
You gonna crush it?
Dad's got to take pictures. Yeah, I took some the other day. They were pretty good.
I had to do a bunch of family photos over Thanksgiving break, and I had to be the family photographer and set up everything. I actually don't have any pictures.
Such
to show
is
you guys,
our
but
lot in life as a photographer, videographer.
I forgot I had to shoot my sister-in-law's baby shower as well. I got thrown into that. I mean, it was a great time.
Thrown into the shower, or
thrown into the shower.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's hot.
yeah,
Okay.
It was very hot.
Great.
Lots of women.
Perfect.
Anyway, Jared's gone. We're going to be doing REELtalk. He's actually gone next week as well. So this is going to be the premiere episode of REELtalk. And
It's like the gift that keeps on giving.
2 episodes in a row, 2 weeks in a row.
There is a Santa Claus.
There
because
is. It's the best time of year, right?
I mean, he's like, I'm going to give you guys Stephen and Todd for Christmas. And thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we say Merry Christmas on this show.
Merry Christmas. So anyway, I do want to discuss that we recently got the live stream box. We sent back the one B&H sent us.
So you liked it. So we tested the thing
liked
out,
it,
ran it through its paces, and you dig it.
We liked it so much that we got our own, and we set it all up. And this
Yeah.
time I realized we're going to keep it, so I went all out. I went really looking into the specs and how I can set certain things up. For example, it does kind of like a Skype-like interview where anyone around the world, as long as they have an internet connection, can literally...
Well, we tested it.
We tested
Yeah.
it with you.
Yeah.
You were in your basement.
It was awesome.
Which has terrible internet, kind of. You say it doesn't, but it seems like it does.
Right.
Anyway, we can literally send out a link, which is really nice. What are you looking at?
Oh, it's live. Yeah,
Good?
we're live. Yeah,
All
we're
right,
good. Yeah.
We're good. So we can literally send out a link to anyone that wants to chime in, and we're thinking about doing a possible show with Jared where you can call in and ask him questions like flying solo type thing and have like a phone call segment, and they can Skype in, and all we do is send out a link. They chime in, and boom,
It was
live.
super easy. You sent me the link.
Yep.
The only thing that you had to do was open it in Chrome.
Yep.
It didn't work in Safari.
For some reason, yeah, it's a limitation.
Clicked it, boom, turned my stuff on to ask for permission to use my camera. It was super easy.
What's
so,
even cooler is that we're going to get Jared like that Secret Service like little earpiece, and he's going to be able to hear in like exactly what the person's saying.
Can we get it in the wrist more so? Like
just like
the eagle has
put
landed.
But it all worked out. The box is great. What else did we do with it? Oh, live critiques we're thinking about doing. So
That would be cool.
Possibly one day when we have this really figured out.
Yeah.
Todd can be sitting in your normal chair. Jared will be sitting here, and we can all be doing live critiques where people can send in pictures or maybe video clips.
Yeah, that would be
we want to
cool.
do live edits one day too with REELtalk.
Wow. Yeah, that live edits would be interesting.
It's a lot, man.
Yeah, that would be. And I would say, like, people watching this, like, what things would you like to see us discuss, or
Sure.
maybe do hands-on, or
Definitely leave
because
comments.
I do rough cut reviews on my channel, and I just started that. And people seem to like that, where basically somebody sends me one of their videos, I give them notes, and people reacted positively. So I have a new one that I already shot. I haven't edited it yet. It's still a rough cut.
I submitted for that. How come you didn't do it?
Well, because it sucked.
Because I crushed it. That's
well,
why.
No, I didn't want you to make you feel bad. So I was
Sure.
like, no, actually, I was like, I don't know how much I can really add to this. Because
Yeah.
it was like, I was like, this is pretty good. I'm only going to nitpick. What I look for in a lot of the videos that people send me are...
Yeah, what do you look for?
Are things that notes that I can give them that I'm like, you know what, this is a great note for people in general, not only for that person, but for the audience at large, that I think that's going to be a positive thing that they can walk away with.
It's usually positive. I'm sure that's hard.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you shoot something and edit it together and it's kind of done in a rough cut, man, you're better off than half the people I know that shoot things and never edit them, never finish them. So you get to that point, it's already a positive. I try to keep it positive in general.
Somebody wise once told me, just start.
You know what?
Just start.
We should make a video about that.
I mean, hashtag just start.
Hashtag just start.
Totally make a video. Hashtag.
Oh, look, there we are.
There we are. Hi. Hi, guys. Hey. Anyway, so you are doing rough cut reviews. You also did a video recently about, what, 4K, crop in, factor, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And my channel on YouTube is youtube.com/cheesesteakmedia. Yeah.
Which you are trying to change, but it's not changing.
Yeah, I like to try to have multiple things go to it. But yeah, it was just about, we talk about this all the time, like about 4K and like why should we shoot 4K? It's a pain on your computer. It's a pain to store it. It's a pain to get it on the cards.
Especially with that 5D Mark IV.
You know, the 5D Mark IV crops it. It's kind of like, oh, you put the lens on and it changes all of a sudden.
Yep.
But man, especially the 5D Mark IV, that dual pixel autofocus is so spot on. For YouTube, for me personally, shooting myself. And then I can basically shoot myself in a medium and get a medium and a close-up. When I used to do it before, I would shoot a medium, and then I would do it again and shoot a close-up because I didn't have two cameras at the time, early when I was doing some YouTube stuff. This, to me, is just like the definitive way to use 4K on YouTube for smaller projects. If you don't have to deliver in 4K, you're delivering in 1080, there's no way that you should not shoot 4K or try to shoot 4K and then crop in. And I mean, we do it in Photo News Fix.
The Photo News Fix.
I do it on all of my videos for YouTube, all of my daughter's videos, her YouTube videos. That is just like I'm not going back to that to 1080 for the talking head.
We pretty much shoot solely in 4K now, but the hard part is that I'm literally working off a MacBook Pro for my system right now. So I'm making proxies all the time for all the Photos photo videos. Like for the fixes, if I do a fix, I have to make proxies before I even start editing because it will not play back a native 4K clip, especially when you start throwing Lumetri color and all grading and everything on top of it, sharpening. It just becomes a mess.
As soon as you start throwing layers on top of it, it's one thing to play back 4K, and it's also one thing to play back 4K in your timeline that's like 2 minutes long.
Yep.
But as soon as you get into like your real
hours
reviews,
of
it's
4K
like
footage.
Well, and 45 hour for the what is it, real world reviews? I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at.
So for example, I just started working on the Sony A7R III review, which we shot in Arizona 3 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah.
But we were waiting for certain things to finish before we can really start editing that video. So I just started editing it this week, and I think I started out with 6.5 hours of footage, just raw footage, that we have to piece down to, again, like that 20-minute mark. And it's very tough because I pretty much just shoot Jared nonstop running around because I don't know what he's going, like which pictures he's going to use in the final review. So he may take 300 pictures, but I may only get 50 keepers in the end.
I mean, you're shooting a documentary.
Essentially, yeah. You shoot everything and then you piece it together in post and figure it out. Figure out the story at least, but I mean, there's not too much of a story in that point. It's kind of just chronological.
Well, thank God that Premiere now does the
proxies.
The proxies. Yeah. I mean, Final Cut did that early on, that you could switch it to make proxies right away on ingestion.
Optimize it or whatever.
Optimize it and make proxies. You can it'll do both. But I do neither now because now that's the thing that's funny. Like when I put out that 4K video,
which by the way, I do think that is literally your best video that you've ever put out. I think you did a great job.
Hashtag crush edit.
You really did.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure that took like a week to shoot because that.
Tell me more.
What was that, Jared?
No, what I was gonna say is immediately though people were commenting like, dude, you're speaking like we all have computers that can handle that.
That's very true.
Or that we've got the storage capabilities. I was like, I am kind of a jerk in that regard.
Mean, I will say the computers with Premiere at least and Final Cut with the proxy editing, it can pretty much handle it.
You can get around it with the proxies, but I don't even do proxies anymore. I edit 4K RAW. But now, don't get me wrong.
You have a Mac Pro, though.
I do. I have the tower, and it's pretty beefy.
The trash can,
But I'm talking about things that I'm editing in 4-minute projects,
Very small
5-minute projects.
yeah.
I'm not talking about 90 minutes.
And your projects are also scripted, so you know exactly what you're going to shoot. You don't have a bunch of leftover raw footage.
Yeah.
So that's not that bad.
So yeah, that was the 4K video. But yeah, you can check that out on my channel, as well as some other things, some new stuff I got on there.
The other thing about Premiere too, while we're on that topic, is the recent update, which I think 2 months ago or something that came out.
Yeah.
They now let you open multiple projects at a time. So I could literally open up 2 or 3 projects and grab that one sequence that I use for, say, Jared's like Rode microphone introduction. I can rip that entire sequence, drag it over to the new timeline instead of literally like importing a specific sequence like we used to have to do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, that is great. That drop and drag is just
non-linear editing.
It's
incredible.
Way to do it.
And with Premiere, you could literally drop almost any type of footage on there, and it's just plays. It works.
What's funny is I jump between Premiere and Final Cut all the time.
Sure.
And just how much they're starting to come more and more together in terms of like, oh, I like that feature. I'm going to pull it into Premiere. Now I'm going to bring this into Final Cut. So they're getting closer and closer together. It really just depends on what you prefer.
I've personally never used Final Cut. I've
not even 7 or 6?
None.
Never.
I've always, from college, and you'll hear about this coming up, we're going to actually talk about our history of how we kind of got into video.
Filmmaking and video.
Editing,
and
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, in college, I started with Premiere, so I've always been on Premiere. What was funny, though, is that we were on Macs and using Premiere.
Gotcha.
You would think we would be using Final Cut, especially that entry-level, college level.
Yeah.
You'd think something easier like Final Cut would.
Well, obviously, that's a professor that was probably he liked
Yeah.
Premiere, and I mean, that's how most editors and filmmakers are.
Whatever you prefer,
You start on Sony Vegas or iMovie, and you know, you get into where you're comfortable to be creative.
Comfortable? What was that?
Comfortable being creative.
Correct you. That's all.
You never want to move off of that.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're an Avid, you stay on Avid, and Premiere, you know. So whatever makes you comfortable and gets you the best story.
So for those people that aren't interested in video, I do want to switch gears a little bit to photography.
Do it.
I recently shot a concert, a national touring concert for iHeartMedia. It's their Jingle Ball for the Philly market. Yeah.
I heard you. Guys.
Oh.
I heard you.
So I shot Jingle Ball. I was their backstage shooter. I had to do all the backstage interviews, and I also had to do the red carpet, which I've never done before. And
was it actually red?
It was actually red.
Was it? Good.
Yeah. I had the guy next to me saying that he had to set up a red carpet, or he was told that he was shooting a red carpet at an event, and he showed up and there was no red carpet. And I said, isn't that the point of having a red carpet?
What was it, just cement?
It was just cement
and
like a backdrop.
I mean, I guess in that they're just calling it red.
Yeah,
carpet.
it's more like a step and repeat type thing, but whatever.
That's all people care about is having that step and repeat behind them.
The logo.
That's all they care about.
That's all they want. I mean, half the time you can't even see the red carpet in the pictures if you're doing a cropped or something like that, a close-up zoom. So anyway, I had to shoot the red carpet and the backstage interviews. What was interesting about this venue is that the red carpet, it was at Wells Fargo Arena, first of all. This is an arena in Philly. And
it's big.
It's very big. Holds about 22,000, I think, capacity.
Yeah.
So the red carpet was interesting because what it did is it was like a big kind of L shape. So they would walk down the red carpet. Once they're done with all the press photographers, they would make a right turn and then go right into the interview area. It was a path right to the interview section.
So one half of it is photos. You strike a pose. And then you literally get interviewed at the end of it.
Exactly. So I had to do both, and it was kind of tough because I would be set up for shooting red carpet, and then I would switch and literally turn around and shoot the interview.
Wait, so were you shooting all video or all photo?
Photos. Photos only,
photo
still
on both.
photography.
Interview and...
Correct.
Okay.
I was the backstage interview shooter, as in stills. They had someone else doing video, and you'll see coming up in a little bit when I show some of the pictures. But the issue is that I thought about, like, am I going to be literally taking off my flash every time I go to do red carpet with the same camera? And then, taking off the flash for the interviews because I didn't want to be popping flashes while it's all lit, continuous light.
Sure.
Lit decent enough.
Yeah.
So what had happened is I actually used the 6D Mark II that Jared had, and I popped my flash on that and had it all set up for the red carpet, left it there every time red carpet would happen, pop, take my 5D on my strap, and then literally turn around and shoot the interview.
Look at you.
So I was just like firing away.
Nice.
Now,
double fisting it.
Dan, let's show some of the pictures from the actual Q102 Jingle Ball that I shot. I started first off with detail shots. I wanted to kind of get everything, so I wanted to, you know, tell the story.
Nice.
I got some Q102 mic flags. You can move to the next one, Dan. Did some logo stuff. They had a Christmas tree there. Obviously, it's called Jingle Ball.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get some foreground
Where's
bokeh going on.
Where's that logo from?
That's the step and repeat, actually. So this is the interview area, and they had a Christmas tree. You'll see, I think the next shot, Dan,
I
if you
thought
want
that
to
was
switch.
like
So you see
that's crazy. That
the
looks
tree
great.
in the background
Right.
is where I shot through, and you'll see the logos on the back of that. But
Nice.
this is Fall Out Boy. I just wanted to show you guys a wide establishing shot of what I was shooting. This is more just for you guys, not really for Q102.
Sure.
They had camera person to the right, camera op, and then they had 2 continuous lights, which I just want to let you know too. Crazy mixed lighting.
Perfect.
They had tungsten green tinted bulbs in the front, and then daylight, maybe 6,000 Kelvin in the backdrop.
It's all light, Steven. It's all light. It doesn't really matter.
I normally don't care about mixed lighting if they're separated, but the backdrop was totally spilling onto the actual artists and the interviewer. That was the hard part.
That's a tight space, too.
A very, very tight space. This is actually the 11 to 24 I shot with, I think, at 11.
Yeah.
So I could really only go in this one section right behind the interviewer because it was just way too crowded to try and get around to the other side.
Yeah.
So this is where the red carpet led to. Dan, if you want to switch to the next picture, this is one of the boy bands that was there. My goal was to try and get the artists.
So cute.
Not the interviewer themselves because really no one cares about them. It's more about actually the artists.
But I do like the fact that you have a piece of him in there and you can see where they're looking. And, and it's,
I wanted to try and go over the shoulder specifically with these types of shots. I wanted to also get a lot of coverage. You'll see as we go forward all the coverage I got. So, Dan, you can keep switching. This I brought up. I don't know if you can really see, Todd. But
is that a dog?
Dude, so they also had puppies. They gave each artist a puppy to try and get some, I guess, reactions and stuff like that while they're doing interviews.
I hope that dog peed on him.
I think it peed on one person.
Yes!
But I don't think this kid. I brought up this kid because he looks like freaking, I think, is it Buzz from Home Alone, the brother? Dude, he looks like he could be Buzz's brother.
I'm pretty sure he is.
I'm actually terrible with pop bands, too, so I don't recall the name of that band. Here's one of the dogs.
People are yelling at you right now, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. They're like,
it's
this person.
So it's my favorite.
Some of the dogs, I just got some detail shots. You can keep flipping through. We can actually do this a little faster, Dan. So this is Halsey, another over-the-shoulder shot. You can flip through, Dan.
Did she just come from the winter trials? Like, why is she dressed in workout outfit?
I don't know, man. Okay. But she looked great. She used to have like a shaved head just like 2 or 3 months ago, so I don't know where that hair came from.
Well, that's she went to the weave store.
Yeah. And they gave her a dog. This is Sabrina Carpenter. She was on that show, Girl Meets World.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'm familiar.
Yep.
Not because I'm creepy, but because I have a 12-year-old
So you can
daughter.
pause here, Dan. So I tried to get also over-the-shoulder shots from the artist's perspective, too.
I mean, you could have just gotten a single of him with no over-the-shoulder and been like, yeah, man, here's your shot from every interview.
Yep. And I did get safety shots for that, too, where I just separated him. But I wanted to get reaction shots. That was the hardest part. Dan, you can keep going on from here. The hardest part, you got her with the dog being interviewed.
Rough.
The hardest part was trying to get the reactions. This is one of the guys from One Direction, I think Niall.
So hot.
He's now solo. There's a couple guys from One Direction there.
Oh, look, he's not sweaty, Steven.
Yeah, that would not be me.
Yeah.
I'd have a nice pit stain right there. Another guy from One Direction, I think that guy's name's Liam or something like that.
That's the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
God, I can't even tell you who these people are. But yeah, so I tried to get reaction shots. The hardest part was I didn't have like an A9. I didn't have a mirrorless camera. I had a loud DSLR.
There's a classic shot right there.
Tried to get them.
You can never go wrong with that shot.
So just behind the scenes shots, you know,
can
like
never go wrong with that.
Over the shoulder of the camera, different perspectives, showing the behind the scenes of what's happening. It's an interview. You know it now.
Yeah.
This is Logic.
So funny. Oh, I thought that was snow. Inform.
By the way, Dan, you want to switch to the next one? The next picture, this one is my favorite picture of the night. I think it's a great pose. I hate the step and repeat behind him, but whatever. The backdrop's there.
He looks like he's enjoying himself, having to talk to another radio station.
This guy was the most like humble dude I've ever met.
Nice.
He's so chill. Came up
good.
to every one of us, all the backstage people, shook our hands, was like asking how we were. Really cool.
I always love artists like
love
that.
Yeah. So yeah, the tough part was trying to get reactions like this, just like getting like happy reactions, smiling while not firing off your shutter 50,000 times. So I would wait and then wait for a smile.
And you weren't totally silent. You weren't on like a
I was
mirrorless.
on silent mode for 5D4, but it's really not that silent.
Hear it,
Another one of my favorites. This is the Chainsmokers from that night, and I think that almost wraps it up. I think we have a few more, Dan. I'm not sure. Yeah, and This guy Max, he was really cool too.
Such a funny thing
Really
you
nice
said.
guy. But yeah, so I tried to get coverage between 2 shots, over the shoulder from the artist's perspective, over the shoulder from the interviewer's perspective. Went all over the place, but it was tough because there's nowhere to walk. There was no room.
Well, that always surprises. I mean, I think people would always be shocked when you go into situations like that, how tight the space is.
It's super tight.
And if you don't own a wide-angle lens, you're going to get boned every day of the week, whether it's photos or video.
So if I didn't have that 11 to 24, I don't think I could have actually gotten the camera and the interviewer like in the same angle because it was that tight.
Yeah.
Or I know that. Yeah. But literally, it was probably like this corner. Probably about the size of this, which if you guys can't really tell in this angle, but it's maybe like a 10 by 10
It's like
corner.
bathroom size back here.
Bathroom size, yeah. So tough to shoot. The other thing is Kesha was there. I couldn't photograph her. We couldn't shoot anything of her pretty much besides
Were you
the
allowed to look her in
carpet.
the eyes?
We couldn't look her in the eyes, couldn't do anything. No,
Can you please don't let the sweaty kid look at me?
She was talking to everyone, and she was great with the puppies, but they just said no photographs at all. Yeah, Halsey actually got kind of roughed up by her freaking bodyguard too, man. I'm shooting, and I come around to the other side to get the interviewer, and he just like doesn't like grip me up, but like grabs my shoulder and says leave now, and I'm like, dude,
what?
Yeah.
So why? What was the?
I think he thought that photos weren't approved, but in the end, the manager was right there and was like, oh, he's good. He's with the, and I'm telling him, I'm like, dude, I'm not paparazzo people, paparazzi over here. Yeah. I'm part of the station. I'm the house photographer. I'm not shooting for red carpet.
I realize you need to do your job, and she can see that, but
the thing is, like,
slow your roll.
Don't touch me. Like, don't ever put your hands on me type thing. I'm cool with you being like, hey, man, she doesn't approve photos. Like, just get out of here kind of thing, but like, not like.
Or just be like, are you approved for this?
Exactly.
Just ask the question.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my shoot for the week.
Nice.
I'd like to try and include maybe a photo shoot each week we do this. I mean, on RAWtalk, I try and do it as well.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, I don't want to hear about any of your photos usually, but
REELtalk will definitely be more.
I mean, right now I'm thinking about like food, so whatever you're talking about is fine.
Eventually, REELtalk will get more video related as we move forward. But I figure the first episode we can kind of split it in half.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Oh, one other thing about that shoot. Power went out.
Really?
Not the power of the whole venue, but the power in that room. They must have overloaded a circuit or something. They had a ton of lights, and mid-interview just...
And were they not LED?
They were LED. So that's what I don't understand.
How do you pull that much power?
I literally think they had probably like 70 of these like strips of LED lights, so they were pretty powerful. So I think they must have just overloaded the socket, or I don't know what happened, but... It happens almost every time I'm at that venue, so I don't know if it's just like old circuitry or...
That could be.
I don't know anything about that stuff.
Be.
But power went out midway, and I was telling Dan I had to like quickly adjust my settings, and because I was shooting for obviously the continuous light and just nothing. So that happened.
Well, that's fun. When you got to hang out with boy bands.
Got to hang... I mean, my favorite, dude. I love it. I live for that stuff.
I mean, in this building, we're kind of like a boy band with how attractive we all are. Well, speaking of bands and stuff like that, I had a run-in with a band recently.
Did you?
You guys didn't care about too much, but
well, explain, and I'll explain why we didn't care.
So I have. Look, I'm not 25 anymore.
Yeah, you definitely don't look.
I don't. I hate you. Dan, that's funny. What do you think, Dan? How talking to your mic? You don't have a microphone. So. Portugal, the man.
Yeah.
That
I didn't even know you liked them.
That song, what's it called? Still feel.
Jeez, I don't know.
What's it called? Dang it! I have it on my computer here. It's Feel It Still.
Feel It Still. That's it. Yeah.
Feel It Still.
Huge alt rock song.
So
now
you told me it was like big like a while ago, but
like a year, maybe a little more.
For me, it's like yesterday. So I've been all into this song for a couple weeks, playing it with my daughter nonstop. And I'm sitting and we watched Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure over Thanksgiving.
So random. Why'd you watch that?
So I don't know, because we were with the kids. I mean, trying to find things that you can watch with the family we were hanging out with. They have kids, that are younger than Morgan. Trying to find something we can all laugh at.
Sure.
And this guy that I hang out with, I mean, he's a fool like I am. So let's watch Pee Wee. So we watched that. So I'm in the car the other day listening to this song for the 40th time on repeat, and I started doing like the Pee Wee.
I feel like you love that dance and then the backpack dance.
Oh yeah,
like those two are
and my daughter's like, and I was like, Morgan,
Daddy,
here is the greatest idea. He should be doing that dance during this song. That would be a perfect music video. She's like, sure, whatever. But so the next morning, though, I go home and I keep thinking about it. I'm like, that is the funniest thing ever. And I do a search on YouTube. Like, somebody had to have done this already. Because it says, like,
I've seen it done
I'm a rebel just for kicks.
Yeah.
And Pee-wee says I'm a rebel. I'm like, it has to be online. I find nothing.
I've seen that video, like, done with other songs.
Sure. Yeah, like the mashups. Like, you know, I've seen Bert and Ernie do rap songs.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing. And I'm like, how is this not out there? Keep thinking about it. 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to pull that clip, pull the song. I'm going to see if it works. Within 5 minutes of me putting in like 3 clips, I'm laughing to myself, giddy with excitement. I'm like, funny. And then like 2 hours later, it's done. And I'm like, I should probably just post this.
Yeah.
I sent you a link. I'm like, I sent you a link. First thing you say, asshole.
I knew you were going to get mad. But I feel like you would say the same thing to me.
You're like, why would you do this? And I was
like, it wasn't worded that way.
Why did you do this?
I just didn't understand.
You're like, why did you do it? And I'm like, because it's funny, and you didn't see any humor in it. Well, you're like, are you trying to be viral? I'm like, no. I was like, you're such an asshole. I was like, no. I just literally thought it was going to be funny.
This is usually how I question Jared too. Like, why? What do you do this video for?
No reason. There was no business sense for it. I was like,
it's your personal project, right?
I wanted to. It's my personal project. It's 6 degrees of me.
Ooh.
No, I literally was like, I want to see this in reality. I want to see Pee-wee dance to this song, and that's the only reason I did it.
Yeah.
But when it came, all of a sudden, I was like, holy jeez, this is way better than I thought.
Yeah.
Here, Dan, I think I have it on. Yeah, I have it on mute.
The only thing I didn't understand is like why now and not like a year and a half ago when it was like hot
I
on
literally
the streets.
just got hip to the song.
Yeah,
and that's the only reason why.
I think that's why I didn't understand.
Yeah, so I'm playing this clip, and it's basically I went through it and I pulled out the part where he gets roughed up by the biker bar, and then that's why he does this music scene. So I make him come in the bar. So I literally chopped up the whole portion of this movie clip and moved everything around so I could get him on beat.
Yeah.
And dancing to the song and people reacting to the song appropriately. So I was like, this is brilliant in Todd Wolf world.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody else will care. I'm going to put it up online. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to monetize it. I don't care. I can't stop. I watched it 3 times since we were sitting here before the show. I'm just sitting here like
it was just on repeat the whole time.
Dude, I was so excited by it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yesterday I put it up and I tweet about it. I'm like, I love Pee-wee. I love Portugal the Man.
Yeah.
And so I made this and I put it out there. So maybe 4 hours later, the group actually tweets at me like, "We love this.
Come back to us." I just copyright-wise, I don't want that on the
screen. So they come back to me and they tweet at me. They're like, "This is awesome." They're like, "I think they said we tried this before."
Oh, really?
They actually tried to do it, and I didn't see it anywhere online. But they were like, "But we didn't get it on. We didn't put it on beat like the way you did." With
Pee-wee Herman specifically.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I was like, and they're like, "We love this." So I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Next thing I know, they tweeted Pee-wee Herman. Like, hey, Pee-wee, how about, Pee-wee versus PTM? Give us, and so they're promoting it to their subscribers and at Pee-wee, and I was like, that's amazing. And what it proves to me is that it's one of those things like the passion projects that we do.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'm sure you go do something that you're just like, I'm just gonna go shoot this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take photos of this just because it excites me.
A lot of my nieces and nephews, like, just because I want to do it. And
it's exciting.
It also, like, challenges me too, like certain setups.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, like, this is on my YouTube channel, so it's up on my YouTube channel. You can watch that if you want to watch it. But what it reminded me of is I did a music video for a buddy of mine called Daytona. The song was called Payback. I loved the song. So it was one of the rappers that used to be signed to a record label I worked for. We kept in touch, and I was like, dude, I love this song. I want to shoot a music video for it. End of the day, it cost me money to make this music video because I was so much into it that I was like, oh, I'm going to buy a car rig. I'm going to buy this lens. I'm going to buy this.
It was a passion project.
I was like, I have to shoot this. End of the day, I sent it to my buddy that used to work at a radio station that I used to know, and then he was at BET, and I'm like, hey, man, I shot this video. Tell me what you think. I just wanted some creative, like, I thought it was great. I wanted him to basically, like, be like, hey, great job, man. good job.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, pat on the
He was
back.
like, yeah, great job, man. I can air this. Send it to me. I'll put it on the air. So I got a music video on television, which is rare nowadays regardless.
For sure.
And I did it for free. It wasn't for money. It was because I was passionate and I was excited. And it was the same thing for this. I was like, I just had to see Pee Wee dance to this song. And because of it, it got tweeted out.
Portugal the Man, the band themselves
The band
have already
sent it out,
seen it. And
it's like, what better promotion do you need for yourself at that point?
It amazes me how easy it is to reach a band or a celebrity or something along those lines these days.
Yes.
I mean, when I worked at the radio station, I would tweet out like my news articles, music news, and tweet to Red Hot Chili Peppers or to Jane's Addiction, stuff like that. And I had like Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers retweet it, which he has like 3 million followers.
That's amazing.
He would always retweet, comment back. He was super interactive on Twitter. Same with Dave Navarro of Jane's Addiction. He was like that. But it's so easy to actually get something looked at and seen by who you're trying to reach.
So if you do a good job, I mean, look,
just don't be annoying at it.
Exactly.
That's the only thing.
That's the point. Don't be annoying. But at the end of the day, they're just as addicted to their social media as the rest of us.
Especially like bands when they're on the tour bus half the day. All they're doing is browsing the web. Or watching movies or something.
Yep. So the video I love. You may or may not love Pee Wee. You may or may not love that song. But at the end of the day, I feel like it does say something about passion projects. Doing stuff on spec, doing stuff just because you want to do it, and put it together as proof of concept. One of the new rough cut reviews that I'm editing right now,
trademark.
Basically, a guy that he shoots for Motorcycle Magazine.
Nice.
Wanted to do video, shot something just on his own, and was like, "This is what I'm thinking, guys." They were like, "Oh yeah, okay, we understand now. Here's some more money to create more video for us."
Oh wow.
So by believing in it, doing it on spec. He and I explained this in the video, which it'll be up maybe next week, but, it just goes to show you that, do things you're passionate about and that excite you, and that usually will come through in your work, and it usually turns into good things. I feel like every time I've done these things for free that I'm so excited about that I don't think about, I don't even think about the results. I don't think about like, what's it going to do for me. I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to show Stephen this, and then him shit on it.
Why would you even do this?
Why would you even do this?
It's so dumb.
I was like,
trying to go viral, bro.
I was like, I don't know, because I wanted to. I felt like such a douche, you asshole.
Because I showed Dan, and we're just both like,
why would you do that?
I get it, but like, why?
You're here editing like actual work, and I'm home editing Pee Wee. Like, you're welcome.
But I mean, it's the same thing with like the projects Dan and I edit here. We're super proud of, especially the Real World Reviews. They put so much time and effort into it, and the fact
why does it take so long?
Well, it takes so long because we want to make it perfect.
Yeah.
Or at least, what is it, Dan? 80%, right? 80%.
80%. That's good. Yeah.
Good
I mean,
enough.
look, projects are never finished; they're abandoned.
Yeah.
So
I learned that from the great Todd Wolf.
Exactly. I made that up. Hashtag trademark.
So anyway,
make that up.
We want to get to.
Dan just shot me a look. I didn't make it up, Dan.
We want to get to today's topic. What's hot?
What's hot on the streets?
How did we get started making videos? Like the history of how we get started.
The history of Stephen and the history of
the history of
the
Todd.
history of Todd.
It all started in 1926. Is that what? Right?
When my mother was on the side of the road asking for money.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I mean, I just told my story, so you can. I feel like you can jump in here and because I'm definitely curious. I'm always curious when I meet people personally, like, how did you get into video? Because so many video guys that I know, it's almost split in half. Like, some guys went to school for it,
yeah,
and then there's a lot of people that just fell into it from other things, and it's always fascinating. Like, oh yeah, I used to sell vacuums, and now I shoot,
music videos
I shoot music videos,
yeah.
And they're good at it.
Yeah.
So it's always fascinating to me, like, how people come about, and we've kind of touched on each other's personal stories, so I don't even know if I know. So I'm definitly curious.
I think you know
how you got started.
Majority of it, but I do want to take it back to like just my just my love for videos, I guess, in general. Like in high school, I used to do these like stupid party recap videos where we would all be having a blast. And
what were you shooting this on?
Literally like a point and shoot camera.
Oh, okay.
I had like, I don't know, 480p, whatever it was back in 2005.
And
I was
long ago.
16.
Happy birthday,
You were probably
Morgan.
like
it was Morgan
47
was
at that
Morgan
point.
was born in 2005.
And I would shoot these little videos, and I'd literally put them together in like Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah.
Because I had a PC and still do. And
sorry to hear that.
Hey, I use both now. I use both. But yeah, so I edited a lot of videos of that. My friends loved them. I would just put them up on MySpace at the time, actually.
Yes.
2005.
Did Tom like it?
Tom did like it. I mean, he was always my friend. He was my #1 friend. So
he liked it first. He's like, why didn't I get an invite?
Actually, the like button wasn't even made yet at the time. That was the Facebook, like 2008.
I can barely remember what the interaction or the interface was on.
Because I went to
MySpace.
Facebook in 2006 when that eventually was like college only, and it was really cool because it was only colleges, and then they opened up to everyone later.
Then I could be super creepy on the college kids.
Anyway, that was kind of where my love for videos started, was just making these small little personal videos for my friends. And they're still up on my Facebook page, actually, but I think I made them private. I don't know. But if you find my personal Facebook page, you might be able to find some of them.
I do think we may need to show early projects of ours in a future episode.
I'm thinking maybe next week, because I don't know when REELtalk will be back.
I think we could bring in like our early, like especially projects we did in college or in high school. I have ones that I'm really happy with.
I actually have my college hard drive, good old Firewire 400 or something.
That's what you did video on?
I did video on that
in
college.
You know what I did video on? VHS tape is what I edited on. Tape to tape.
Sorry about that, Dad.
Jeez.
But then I went to college, and I majored in communications, radio, television, film.
And beer.
And definitely beer.
Yeah.
That was my major. My minor actually was communications.
So your major was communications, so you got a broad
radio, television, film.
Across all of it.
I specifically was going for radio because I dabbled in college radio and really loved it.
Because
loved
it's got
music.
a huge future. Everybody listens
huge
to the radio.
future.
Yeah, so that
Even
was
at
a good
the
call.
time.
Yeah, it was a good call.
Yeah.
I went to school for typewriters, so I was
Perfect.
like, this is going to last forever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Go on.
How'd that go?
Terribly.
So they actually, it's funny, they later renamed the major Creative Arts and Sciences, where before it was called Radio, Television, Film. I think they realized because like radio's dead.
So it's like multimedia at that point.
Yeah, television and film were kind of also going that route. So I dabbled in a bunch of film classes. I did advanced film production. We actually shot on the Red Scarlet.
Nice.
I did editing classes. I did a whole bunch of stuff just because I was interested in it.
Yeah.
I didn't plan on using it. I was going more for radio, and I wanted to be like a sound engineer, record bands, stuff like that. Realized that was also a terrible career move because people
you should
were
open
recording.
a studio.
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you should totally do that.
And people were recording like in basements in their freaking rooms with the laptop.
So they didn't need you anymore.
Quickly dropped that. And I still plan on doing radio. Eventually got my job at Radio 104.5 in Philly with iHeartMedia and did that for like 7 years. Loved it.
I hurt you.
We actually were editing back to college, though, before I moved forward. We were editing on Premiere Pro, but it was like, I don't know, CS1 or something like that. Or this is 2010?
Yeah.
Like 8 years ago, something like that.
2010.
It was 2010. Right. What I didn't like about my major is that there were like kind of editing classes where we had advanced film. We would do a whole short film on like a Red, and then we would come back to edit it, and they would give us like a couple days to edit. They wouldn't really tell us how to edit. They wouldn't show us. It was just kind of like slap some stuff on the timeline and export, you know?
Yeah.
So I look back at some of my old college material, which again I have on that hard drive, which we will show.
I think,
and it's atrocious.
I think everybody's going to want to see it. So we may need to. I think we should just plan now that we're going to show these horrible works next week.
It was interesting because like we did like ADR.
Only if Dan finds his terrible one that he actually sent in when he interviewed at the place that I used to work at, and the guy showed me his reel. He's got one where the guy's in a well or like a hole.
Yeah.
Dan needs to find that so we can talk about it. We should critique it. We should critique Dan's college reel on one of these shows at some point.
Definitely.
Dan's won't look me in the eye.
The
right
more
now.
the merrier. But we shot on like even the 16 millimeter. Is it the Bullocks?
Yeah.
Bullocks?
Yeah.
It's been a while, and we shot on that. And we would make like ADR reels where we would shoot silent films and then ADR it.
Yep.
And I look back and it was terrible.
Oh, it was
At
horrible.
the time,
I'm
I thought
sure
I crushed it.
Yeah. No, I guarantee you thought you did.
So yeah, graduated college, learned how to shoot on DSLRs. Actually, by the end of college, we were shooting on 7Ds. That was like 2012 or 13 at that point. Graduated, worked with the radio station.
In the day.
Tried to get a job, couldn't get a full-time job there. Jared met him in the photo
you got a face
pit.
for radio, so
Screw you. But I thought that I was going to be doing radio, and then they still weren't hiring me full time. I was part time for that long, and so eventually I met Jared in the pit, and he's like, "Can you cut video?"
And
I'm like,
how long out of college did you kind of do the part time hustle?
I did it for about a year, and I gave the station like an alt because at this time I was already working for the station for like 5 years.
Do you want to lose all of this?
This beautiful radio face.
You know who I am.
So yeah, I gave them kind of like an ultimatum, and I was like, "Hey, I'll give you guys like 6 months, but I have a job offer with Jared." And at this time, I was already working part time with him, I think.
Oh.
For like maybe.
How did that
6
come
months to a
about
year.
though? You can't just skip to that. Like how did?
I know. I think I'm jumping all over the
how
place.
did the so all right? So I'm following you. You went to radio, thinking you were going to be a radio star or something in radio. You're going to do something in radio.
Start doing concert photography.
Concert photography for them.
Met Jared in the pit at a Weezer show in 2012.
There we go.
Maybe
This
11.
makes sense now.
Then that's when we kept seeing each other because he shot for Festival Pier and Live Nation. And
were you telling him how to shoot better?
No, he was telling me how to shoot.
Dan liked that. I heard that.
Every time I was shooting, he's like, "What are you doing? You shooting raw? You doing this?" Anyway, I commented on his T-shirt, and he sent me a shirt, and then the bromance just happened. And I saw him every time.
Did he yell at you the first time he met you?
Well, when he talked every
time. I
time.
don't even know why we're doing this.
He would just talk to me like, "Hey, Stephen, how are you?" Just yelling constant. I was like, "Why are you yelling?"
He's a yeller.
Dude?
He's a yeller.
But he asked if I could cut video after chat with him for about a year. And he knew I worked for the radio station and knew I was like a personality. So he eventually wanted me to be like a personality for Frono's Photo, on-air talent. And he offered me a part-time job. I worked for him for a couple months, maybe a year. Did RAWtalk, cut that for a while.
Definitely minimum wage.
Pretty much, no. And then that's when I gave the station the ultimatum and said, "Hey, I've been out of college for about a year. Hire me full-time or not, or I'm going with Jared."
Yeah.
He's got a full-time offer. Went with Jared, and
worst decision you ever had.
But I mean, I look back even on the early Frono's Photo videos that I worked on like 4 years ago, and I'm like, wow, I was a pretty bad editor at that point.
Crossing the line.
Well, hey, again, you will always bring up that episode. He's referring to an early RAWtalk episode, like the first video one, I think, where we broke the 180 rule, and I specifically told Jared, because I learned all this in college.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, we can't break the line. It's got to be 180." And
so
like,
people watching, if you're not familiar with the 180 line, like there's a line between Stephen and I.
Invisible line.
And you should keep all your cameras on one side or the other. When you're when you're watching this, all our angles are on this side of us, not over here. If you jump over here,
it confuses the audience.
It confuses the audience, and it looks like we're like looking at. We're not looking at
it looks like you're both looking like the same way almost. So it's very confusing. So Jared, the way we set up in his room, in his kitchen at the time, we couldn't move this table. He wouldn't let me move it.
No, you can't move it.
So
it's in the perfect spot.
We couldn't fit both cameras with the 180 rule. So he's like, "Just put it over here." I'm like, "We're going to break the rule. We're going to get yelled at."
I don't care. I'm yelling now.
He said he didn't care. We did it, and we just got shit on by everyone for breaking the rule, and I'm like,
of course you did. Of course you. I mean, that's a brutal.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that happened, and I just started doing more and more video for him.
And you want to make the announcement where you're moving on to next now?
And then the next chapter came.
So Jared, we wanted to break it live on air.
Breaking news.
Exactly.
And then I met you in I don't know what 20.
Worst day of my life.
It's terrible. I still regret it. Yeah.
So how long have you been with Frono's Photo then?
Almost 5 years at this point.
Oh my! Has it been that long?
It's been 4, I believe.
Dan's shaking his head in disbelief. He can't believe you stuck around that
shocked.
long.
Dan's like, "I'm going to be out of here next week." But yeah, it's been a long time.
Well, creatively, I feel like when you're in an organization like this, as opposed to like the corporate sector where it's like you got 500, maybe 100 people working, doing different things. You probably get pushed into a specialty. Maybe all you do is run camera. Maybe all you do is lighting. Maybe all you do is sound. But with an organization like this, you tend to get your hands dirty in everything. It may be stressful.
You wear a lot of hats.
It might be stressful. It might be a lot sometimes. But it is such an education that it's pretty invaluable. Like more than you're going to learn in college. You're gonna learn. It's trial by fire. You're getting the sound right. You're getting the angles right. You're getting crapped on when you break the 180. You get crapped on when the lighting is, especially in the YouTube universe.
People love to comment
immediately. You're going to
they
be
love
checked.
to be negative. Yeah.
So it's one of those things that for the fact that you've survived and you've been able to transform, what Jared's been doing over these years is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, I'm moving on with the story. I met you, and then I feel like I've learned a ton from you.
Well, I'm
editing.
Pretty much the greatest filmmaker ever.
Maybe not anymore. But
and I
wanted to bring up that I'm still learning today.
You should be, yeah.
Constantly learning. I still don't think I am the best editor.
I don't either. I don't either. I think the same thing. I think you're Dan's Dan saying he is. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, there's still so many things to learn. I'm constantly learning new tips, tricks, shooting. I mean, I started with Canon.
Yeah.
We only shoot Nikon in the studio. I shoot Sony too now with Jared. I've shot the GH5, Panasonic. I've really dipped my toes into pretty much every type of camera at this point. But we have a lot of hats here. Like
you're super knowledgeable when it comes to the technicalities of each camera because I
get super technical, which
I don't. I mean, I fall into the realm of like
practicality.
Open the box.
Yeah,
I want to tell this story right now. Just let's point. I'm a little bit of Jared in that.
You guys are both impatient. I have the most patience,
dude. I hate lighting. I'm like, can we just shoot something and get this going? Now I love pre-production though.
See, I'm the opposite. I hate I love it to a certain extent, but I hate doing it.
I love pre-production. That's where I differ with Jared.
Being prepared,
I love walking through exactly what I want to do. So then, shooting is a technicality. Now I'm impatient, waiting for things to get set up, maybe because I especially don't want to lose talent, lose that energy.
Yeah, they're
sometimes,
up and
and it happens with Jared. Like sometimes I know he's ready to shoot.
That's why,
and I kind of side on that sometimes with him. Like let's try to just because you don't want to lose their energy, which can be a pain sometimes.
Well, when we do a new set, for example, when we did the new set for where the photo hut sign is in the corner for the Lewis Howes video that we did for Jared when he got the book cover, which is a couple weeks ago he did that. It took us, I don't know, hour or two to really figure out where we're going to shoot, what's our angles, how's this going to be lit. I had to cheat him and put him on a couple Apple boxes to really match the height of the box. 6
Apple boxes.
Because he looks like
a hobbit.
I make him look like he's 7 feet.
He's like a hobbit.
And he's like 4 feet.
He's 4'2". If anybody doesn't know, that's breaking news. He's 4'2". He sits on 3 Apple boxes
5
here.
foot
He has a
with the
booster seat in this chair usually.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
You actually did have to raise that
I did
seat,
raise
though.
it up. I don't know how he sits so like
he sits like
here.
this. Because he's got to show his guns.
How you doing, Stephen? He does sit like you guys do tend to touch hands often. I don't know how.
Well, because I'm right here and his hands like always over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it takes a lot to set up these things, and I try to be patient. I try to set everything up, but I will make sure to tell Jared like I'll be ready in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Give me 2 hours
so
he's not sitting there because he does.
Well, that's good for talent to give.
And that's anyone really sitting for 2 hours waiting. I get it.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of hats here at Fronos Photo between all of us. I mean, Dan's majority pretty much just editing, but he edits a lot of stuff
and
now.
Complains a lot. He complains a lot as well, and is cold and usually pees when I touch him.
But it's amazing how much we get done with a crew of 2.5 with you, I guess.
Yeah, I'm like a quarter.
You're like
maybe,
like an
I
8,
just
maybe.
I just come in, drop brilliant ideas, and I walk out the door.
Yeah, and then I have to set it all up. Good luck.
Well, I would say that. I mean, that's interesting to me because nowhere in there were you like, I used to make I used to make videos with my dad's camera in the backyard.
Never.
And I always knew I was going to be a movie storyteller. Nothing like that.
I wasn't like the kid from Red Oaks, like that, like always did.
You were going to be in radio or audio. It was audio for you.
Audio and music related.
Right.
Anything music related. I knew I couldn't play an instrument, so I was like, I'm going to do radio. I can talk about music. And I loved it. I loved the people I worked with, but
so
it's a dying medium.
I'll tell how I did. I basically music side as well. I came from. But I was going to ask you before I move off of you. So you're here, Fronos Photo.
Well, I got about a week left.
What aspiration?
Right?
So you got about a week left here. That's a joke. Don't serve. What aspirations do you have moving forward? Whether it be film, video, you trying to go back into radio? Because I mean, look at you. You probably should be on radio. What are boxes you haven't checked off yet in that film? I
think the biggest thing that I want to do personally, like I guess in terms of like personal projects, we keep bringing that up, is I do want to do kind of what you're doing with YouTube videos. I want to do more personal YouTube videos on my own, teaching, stuff like that. It's just I never have time, and when I do have time, that's all I do at work is YouTube videos, and like I get home and I'm like, it's like the last thing
you want to do. No, I mean,
so that's what scares me, is that it's crossing over to the point where I'm getting tired of doing videos because I just do it all day at work, but I do love it at the same time.
There's a story you want to tell personally that you just haven't been able to tell yet here. And I know Jared's talking about wanting you to do some on-camera things.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
I mean, like I did the fix one time. We're doing this now. But one big personal project I want to get done is my grandparents. I want to film and interview them and get the backstory of like our family history.
Please do it.
Because they're getting older. They're 85 and
don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I get it on film and 4K, multiple angles, kind of just like we're shooting RAWtalk, and really ask powerful, hard-hitting questions and get emotional with them, get history out of them.
See where the sweating comes from. Is that running the family?
The number one question, why do I sweat so
Grandma,
much?
do you sweat a lot? That's the first thing I want to ask you. Did you ride over, did your family come over on a boat of sweat?
It is my mom's side of the family, too, and I think that's where I'm getting it from.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I would tell you, that's probably a better way to express what you want to do broader, because it's not so much the same thing you're doing every day.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something you can pick off. Like, there's no definitive time to, like, it has to be done by X.
Yep.
You just want to get it done, like while you have them in your life. Because, you know, we were talking before on air, you know, my grandmother, who's 93 now, she's my last remaining grandparent, and she's you know, she's up there. She can still talk. She's still relevant. But my grandfather, her husband, my cousin did that. He shot video of my grandfather talking about being in the war, being in the Navy, and it's like,
because you couldn't have that history before, and now like you can actually
totally do it. Yeah, and I think that's a great personal project. So that I think that's interesting.
Same with, now I don't want to say I just want to do video for personal projects, photo too with me. I'm still a big stills photographer. Obviously, I showed you that I still do a lot.
I mean,
of
if you
shooting.
could pick anything you want to do moving forward, photo,
video,
audio
too. Yeah, audio too.
Or video. Like, what would you want to do? I know you can do everything. I know you're the best at everything. You're the best of the best. But let's say, and you could choose anything. High profile. You could record a band. You could shoot a video. You could, you know, be on air.
Yeah, I mean, I always, that was my thing. I wanted to be on air radio talent for like an alt radio station, which is what I was doing. But
well, I mean, I've heard you on RAWtalk. I'd probably look somewhere else. I mean, because that's probably, I don't think it's for you.
I don't care for that anymore. But I don't know what I would want to do. Maybe I've always wanted to do the band photography type stuff. Yeah. Like I wanted to do, whether it be a setup photo, formal shoot, or whether it be like a touring photographer.
Have you ever shot a music video for a band?
I've never, no. I don't know if I want to.
Well, here's what I would say is you come from a place where you love music.
Correct.
And you're good at the visual stuff. Where I think they would come into play is you find yourself a local band where all of a sudden you're like, I love that song.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what happened with me when I did that video I told you about. Mm-hmm. I was like, we're cool, me and this person, but I was like, oh my gosh, I love this song. I have to do this. And maybe, you know, you're in the weeds with new bands, up and coming bands. I'm sure opening acts, you see plenty of them.
For sure.
At some point, I feel like at some point you may have that epiphany where you're like, I have to shoot this. I love music. I'm a music lover, and I have the capabilities to do this. I think that would be a great way to kind of and do something different than you do here.
Yeah, I think anything different
would be a great exercise for you.
Yeah,
might not make a lot of money. It wouldn't make you a lot of money. It might not, but it might exercise part of your brain that you're not an itch you're not scratching.
Dude, the hard part though is that like I feel like every weekend I'm so busy with like family events.
Of course, yeah.
Because I come from a large family.
You got to cut them off. You got to cut them off.
Nieces and nephews always parties.
Don't call me anymore, Mom. We're done.
Don't call me to shoot the next baby shower.
We're done.
Mom's probably watching now. Hi, Mom.
Sorry. I'll be home for Christmas.
I'll be home for dinner tonight.
I sent you my list.
Anyway, I think it's time to move on, right?
Well, yeah, I'll briefly tell my story.
Okay.
If,
I thought you said you did tell your story.
I didn't tell my story. No, it was all about you, Jared. Jeez.
Sorry.
I should have told you to wrap it up.
We should reverse seats.
Well, I'll be brief about it. I mean,
No. Take your time. Dude.
I was in the same boat in terms of like, I was going to do music.
Yeah.
I was I'll go back a little bit. So in school, in school I was really into computers.
This is high school?
High school. There weren't like digital cameras. I mean, we had like VHS cameras and all that stuff, and I did a little bit, but nothing to talk about. Went to college for computer science. Quickly realized that I needed to have a thing for math.
Yes, big.
So I was like,
because I would have done the same.
I was like, this is the worst idea I ever had in my life. Mm-hmm. So all this time, in high school and getting out of high school and like first year of college, I was like super into rap through high school, and I had a rap group, and I know we've talked about it on RAWtalk.
So funny. Did we ever show that video?
No.
Can we like critique?
Maybe
that?
I will. Maybe I'll bring that in for one of the REELtalks.
Best video ever.
So anyway, so I was really into that, and then I was like, I don't like this anymore. I was like, I like making music, promoting music. We were touring around like the Northeast Pennsylvania, going on college radio, doing all this stuff. And then eventually it hit me. I was like, I made a record, and it was a cassette tape that we sold, and it was all this stuff. And eventually it hit me. I was like, well, I should just try to do this. So I moved to Philadelphia then in like 95.
Was that like the hot place to be?
It was the closest place to be for me. I'm from Pennsylvania, so I moved to Philadelphia. We used to come to Philadelphia.
Why not New York?
No,
or something?
Because it's too big. It was too scary for me.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll move to Philadelphia. That's where we go to buy records. I'll go to school there. I went to the Art Institute, which is definitely not a mecca for like breaking into the business.
Yeah,
but, a lot of lost souls out there that go, want to be filmmakers, want to be people that have creative capacity, and it works out for some. And I knew that Rough House Records was in Philadelphia, which had like the Fugees and Crisscross and Cypress Hill. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to work for a record label, and I'm going to be that dude. So I moved to Philadelphia. We kept producing groups. We threw parties, and eventually I got an internship at Rough House. And
was that a big deal? Internship?
Huge, because they didn't take interns.
Oh,
but I literally called like every couple weeks. I would call.
Freaking Todd.
And they were like, the girl was like, finally, like, yes. Just fine, come. We're not going to hire you, but come anyways. I brought my portfolio, and I walked through the door. And
what's a portfolio consist of with trying to get a job?
For there, I literally had like news, because, when I was in bands, rap groups, and we would promote parties, and we would
you would show like banners?
Keep in mind, in college, I interned for Capitol. So I would make flyers for like releases in like Photoshop 0. And it was terrible, printed on dot matrix printers and all that, and hand out flyers. And then I did stuff for the Trocadero.
Oh yeah,
I interned at the Trocadero making their stuff. But I promoted like Less Than Jake and things like that on Capitol back in the day. So I did that. So I had a little bit of a resume. So I had all this stuff that I would create for them as promotional stuff. So that's how I got the internship. They were like, "Oh, you did all this. You have a background in this sort of thing." So I actually got the internship, which they never did. And then eventually the girl that hired me, she was like, you're really way better at this than me. I'm going to go to this. She went to a rock label because she was more into rock and roll.
So you basically took her job.
So she moved, and she's like, you should do this.
Wow.
You like rap way more than me. You should do this. I'm out. So shout out to Tamara. Her name was Tamara. And then from there,
I wonder what she's doing today. If she still works for a label.
We're friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't think she does label stuff anymore. But that's how I got into the record business. I did that for 5 years, jumped around to different labels.
Is that what you wanted to do, like your whole
No, I wanted to produce. But I ended up in marketing and promotion, and I did a little production. But then I eventually got into a situation similar to you here at Fronos Photo, where a couple of the major labels I was at, I left, and one of them shut down at the end. And I started doing indie promotions for like small labels. Well, I eventually got in bed with like a smaller label.
What's that, like college radio you're promoting to and stuff like that?
And national mix show.
Gotcha.
To like commercial radio.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at that point in time in the late 90s and early 2000s, you could still call DJs that mixed vinyl, and they could slide your record in. Whereas now it's very programmed at the
For
radio
sure.
station.
Yeah.
Like even mix shows have like a playlist now, whereas you could sneak records in and break new records. Anyways, I got into that, went into one of these smaller record labels, doing everything like you. I'm producing, I'm promoting, I'm running the office, I'm running the studio. So I'm getting my hands dirty, and it's awesome. It's a great energy. It's exhausting. I'm getting paid nothing, but we were having an impact in the city. We had big records on the radio all across the country, and we were doing really well. Well, long story short, we ended up doing like a Streets is Watching, like Jay-Z, like music videos with like story, and we did this video thing. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I did video in college. Because going back to college, we're doing rapping and we're doing parties and we're making mixtapes. Well, we made music videos in school.
Did you?
And I did tape to tape. And I was like, oh, I really like this. God, I like editing tape to tape. This is really...
Kill me now.
I was like, this is great. I like the finished product.
Yeah.
The process sucks.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way I want to edit ever again in my life. So I moved on, won an award for that music video, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah, in school. So that's not really that big of a deal. But I was like, never doing that again.
Yeah. Never
going to do that ever again.
So you hated editing at this point.
Hated editing.
Yeah.
So, but then
Funny.
This comes up. We shoot this like music video movie thing to promote this record label, and I go hang out with the editor and the director at this point to kind of keep an eye on everything, make sure everything stays on the rails, because they're investing a good amount of money in this.
Sure.
And I'm watching them edit in like Final Cut 3 or 4. And I'm like...
So what year is this now?
This is 92 maybe?
Final Cut's been around that long?
No, I'm sorry. I'm lying. Not 92.
2002.
2002.
Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah, like 2002.
Gotcha.
My bad. 2002. So, Final Cut 3. Dan says it's Final Cut 3. So, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, that's how you do it now? Like, this is amazing. And I'm talking to the editor and this and that. I'm like, this is freaking awesome. Well, ended up being some problems with the video. Like, things weren't working, and I could feel, this is an indie label, not a lot of money happening. I can feel the weight of the label on this project. I can feel that if this goes bad, I'm out of a job,
Label's done.
I'm looking somewhere else for work. And, you know, record labels aren't big business in Philadelphia. There aren't record labels aren't everywhere that are paying, like, promotion
especially
marketing
these days,
people.
yeah.
So I was like, all right, I start getting my hands dirty. I start going in with this editor, and...
You're not physically editing it. You're just directing kind of at this point.
So I'm kind of directing at that point, like, move this here. And then all of a sudden, the director kind of falls back and is like, all right, you got this. And then it worked out really well. We ended up pressing these up on DVD and selling like 20,000 just in Philadelphia. So
I guess that was a time when DVD was still selling big.
And it ended up being huge. And then that's when I got the bug. I was like, this is awesome. So then I started shooting more music videos for myself and my friends, like rap stuff we were involved in. And then we ended up shooting like another movie with this rap crisscross like narrative storyline thing.
Yeah.
And on the end of that, the record label shuts it down. Unfortunately, at that point, and then I would go to radio to do sales because I knew people from radio just from promoting records. I was like, I got to do something else. I was so disappointed and exhausted at this point that I was like,
screw it.
Yeah. My daughter was just born. I'm like, I'm just going to go into sales and radio and just take a break. Well, about a year into that, a year into that, my brother says to me, he looks at some of the projects. He's like, so could we make a movie?
Oh, I forgot you did that with your brother.
So I was like, well, yeah. He's like, this looks like a real movie. I was like, well, thanks, asshole. So
don't you love that?
I love it.
This looks like a professional photograph.
This looks like a real video. I'm like, thanks, dick.
Why would you do
that?
But
so turn around 2006. This is then we shoot on like a Panasonic DVX 100 with a lens adapter, micro red rock lens adapter thing, which ate light like it was like a black hole. Terrible.
Worst. Jared loves adapters.
Hate it. So I shot that, and we ended up like winning awards for it. The movie's called Left Right. I don't even know if you can see it online.
I've actually never seen it. I've always seen the poster. That's actually in your all your YouTube videos.
A buddy of mine from Greenpeace borrowed my DVD, and I still have to get it back. But I have it on YouTube.
Do you?
Not to be seen by the public, but
it's
I can send you a link.
Private or something.
I can send you a link to watch it.
Can I tweet it out to everyone?
I apologize now if you actually sit down and watch it, but it was good. I mean, we won.
I thought you were super proud of that.
No, we won almost a dozen awards. Anyways, on the tail end of that, I got an offer then, or I found a guy that needed an editor to edit a movie, And I was like, I said to my wife, I turned her, I was like, I think I can edit movies.
This is like, you really didn't edit
and
much?
And my daughter's
at this point?
one. I mean, I edited left, right.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I edited that entirely. It took me like a year to edit that movie. Because it's me editing a movie. I've never edited a movie before. So a lot of mistakes, a lot of stops and starts. And at the same time, we didn't shoot necessarily
perfectly. Did you have to reshoot anything?
Nope. I did some pickups for some cutaways, some things in establishing things.
Just little things.
Nothing where I needed really talent of any sort. Said to my wife, my daughter's about a year old, and I think I'm going to quit this corporate job, and I'm going to go work for this guy and edit this movie for him.
What's ironic, too, real quick, is that you worked at the same radio station, the same cluster.
We had to have. So this was
Cross
2006, 2007.
Because I joined in 2007.
So we may have.
So I think when you went out, I came in.
Yeah. So
that's funny.
So I go and do that. End up editing his movie. He likes kind of what I'm doing. I meet Dan there. I meet Matt Martin there at this place.
The Fro team.
I end up writing a movie at that place. While I'm there, I end up writing this movie called Saddle Up. We end up shooting that movie. Mickey Rooney's in that movie. That happens. And then, I'm just kind of off to the races. And so based off of just me doing this movie with my brother on, like, never thinking anything will come of it. But because it was a passion project, again, I did a passion project, made no money off of it. I lived off that for 5-10 years by showing people, like, I won half a dozen awards. Dude hired me, ended up working with more people. And then I ended up, when that place closed down, geez, what did I do after that? I did. Thank you, Dan. I ended up hooking back up with the music business again. So it all came back around.
Full circle, yeah.
So Will Smith's buddy, Charlie Mack.
Not the name drop or anything.
No, but I'm super tied into the record business, it's really small in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So when you're in Philadelphia, you're a little bit in the record business, you kind of know everybody.
Yeah.
Especially in the radio community. Same
yeah,
thing.
I've noticed that with alternative radio for sure.
It's a small town no matter what city you're in if you're in a specialized business.
Yeah. There's only a couple record reps, too. I mean, around the whole region.
Yep. So Charlie was managing Meek Mill at the time.
Okay.
And the guy that he was working with to shoot video was the guy that I shot, a guy named Jamal Hill, who shot the earlier videos for the other record label I was at that I had to go in and fix and edit. So that all kind of came back together, and we went and we shot Streets, which ended up on BET, which was Meek Mill's movie.
Pretty big movie,
pretty
right?
big deal for us. We shot it for like $35,000.
Wow. They had to
we
make
sold
a
it
buttload.
Sold it to BET for way more than that.
Sure.
So that was a good investment. And then off of that, he went and shot another movie called Brotherly Love with Queen Latifah, and I was involved in that.
Real quick on that. What's the crew looking like for these movies? If it's $35,000 budget, like how?
It was me.
Big crew,
it was
small?
me, Jamal, Jaffe, Dan, Matt Martin, Andrew Jaffe. So maybe 6 people. Wow.
Whole thing.
7 people.
Whole thing.
An AC would come fly in every once in a while. Yeah, we had
ACs every once
in a while.
strictly just production you're talking about?
We shot on a 5D Mark II.
Wow. Was there like makeup, wardrobe, catering, all that still, or no? Is it just pretty much you guys get some sandwiches from Wawa? And
we had kind of a caterer. They kind of showed up sometimes. They kind of didn't show up sometimes. We
Whenever
kind of
they
had
felt like
a makeup. It was a lot of dudes, so we didn't have a lot of makeup. The girls that we had, they did their own makeup, I think.
So what year is this?
This was...
Because the 5D2 came out in 2008.
5, you said?
2009.
No. 10.
10.
Dan says it's 10.
Wow, you shot the movie on 5D Mark II. That's a bold move.
Yeah.
But
so in the midst of all that, then, I think we did that. Oh, my goodness. So before I do that, though, when the other record label shuts down and I'm kind of working it, No. I'm trying to figure out when I talked to Jared.
That was 2010, I thought.
So it was around the same time
when
as
he was
this.
at South by Southwest, and then he sent out that.
So it was about the same time I shot this movie, and it was like in December. It was in like January, and everything's dead. I think that project was done.
Yep.
Or it was about to happen. And I saw on Craigslist somebody looking for an editor, and I was like, I'm between things at that point. And I was like, South by Southwest came from the record business. I'm like, well, you know what?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
South by Southwest is legit. I can at least see what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And worst mistake I ever made.
Terrible footage, probably.
Totally, reached out to this guy. I told him a certain amount. He talked me down.
Oh, he haggled you? That's weird.
That's And you know, but he was shocked at like the footage looked pretty good, but then it was all documentary. They were running and gunning with a Nikon something or other.
When I feel like that, there was like zero like storyline. They were just like shoot everything.
Which I figured it out. I was like, well, it's an on the road story of the band, so that's what I made it. Jared was impressed by that. He's like, "You're the best editor I've ever seen." I've got some, you know, so guys I know that are editing, but you're way better than anybody else.
And that's
talking about you. I could see he wasn't getting the joke there.
Yeah, but
no, I don't even know if you were involved with him.
You're talking about 2010. Like I wasn't even working with Jared then.
But from that then came about, you know. So I'm still doing music videos, Meek Mill stuff here and there. I'm kind of jumping around from project to project, movie project, music videos, getting paid commercials. And in the midst of all that, Jared's like, "Hey, I want to do like a video guide to how to shoot photos." And I was like, "Okay, I guess." And I had just gotten a 60D at the time. I had that in a kit lens. And I was like, all right.
Jared loves kit lenses.
So I got Matt Martin, my sound guy. I'm like, "What do you want to go do sound on this?"
Yeah.
And I gave Jared a price for the whole thing, which I should have charged him like
way more,
20 times more. Now looking back on it, but it was cheap. I didn't charge him an arm and a leg. I charged him maybe a pinky.
Actually, at the time though, he probably.
But for him at the time, it was a huge investment.
I was gonna say it's probably a big investment at the time.
It was decent work for me at the time. I was like, and it interested in me. I was like, oh, I think this is kind of cool. And I had to talk him into shooting multiple times, multiple angles, because I only had one camera.
And he's used to the straight on, hit his Nikon
and just
D3
be done
at the time,
and be done and walk away. And I was like, I need to do it again. I need to do it again in close up. I need to do it in a wide.
I wish I was there for that.
And at the end of it, he was like, I don't understand how this is going to work at all. He's like, it's very similar to when I was shooting the music video stuff, the music video movie thing for the record label.
Yeah.
I could smell in the air the smell of death, of like, this is going to go away. Like, he's about to pull the plug on this. And sometimes I've found this a couple times. You can feel when people are about to pull the plug. And he's like, I need to see something. So I cut together, if anybody has the video guide, the swing set. When he's showing shutter speed on the swing set.
And the frog and all that kind of
Not even the frog, just the swing set portion. Just shutter speed, swing set.
Yeah.
I cut that together for him, and I was like, here. And he was like, oh, okay, let's do more. And then so again, back up against the wall, proof of concept, show people what they may not understand that you see in your head, and get the job done. And, I mean, so I've been working with him for years. Obviously, ever since that, off and on, a couple years ago, I'm not sure when I started working regularly with him as a consultant.
Probably like 2015-ish.
Yeah. So
right before RAWtalk,
you
joined, I would say about that.
And in the midst of that, I balanced that out with, you know, movie stuff and music video stuff. And the one guy, when we did Brotherly Love with Queen Latifah and all that stuff, the producer on that film, him and I became good friends. He read my script. And then that's currently what we're casting for. Like right now, we're casting for that film for Adultland. And we're in the midst of all that. And I'll tell you that, you know, not so much about a history thing, but just that, this whole thing with casting a film, wanting to make a film, is such a lesson in
patience,
being told no.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
just
I feel like that's
being rejected,
taking a risk in general.
I mean, this whole business, photos, video, audio, the rejection of things.
You have to be ready.
Finally having somebody putting up the money.
That's probably the hardest part. You think?
You would think so. You got the money. Now I got money in the bank. I got to
real quick before. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I'm interrupting, like Jared would say. We're gonna do Q&A soon, guys.
Q&A here.
So get questions.
I'm wrapping
ready.
up here.
He's gonna be wrapping up soon, so have some questions ready, mainly video related if you can. If it's photo, whatever.
Yeah.
But we'll be answering a bunch for a little bit.
So just to wrap that up, such a lesson in being told no, rejection. Yeah, you know, I'm finally in a situation where Mike and I found the money for my script that I wrote. He believed in it.
For years.
So first off, finding somebody that believes in you, that has the power to. He's out in L.A. He's a working producer. Find him was like a godsend. That he believed in me.
And this is not like $30,000 like the first movie you did. No. This is a lot of money they're putting up.
Significantly more money. Still small in terms of like not
big
$100 million,
correct. But still
way more money than
normal people have.
I'm barely comfortable with spending this amount of money.
Yeah.
But now casting, making offers, and being like, not right for me right now. Not right now. This and that. Trying to like
just get the
duck
cast together.
and dodge and kind of find the casting. And, you know, the casting director, she loves the script. And you know, but still, it's like every time you get over one hurdle, need to find the money. Need to find a casting director that doesn't think you're nuts. Need to find a producer. Need to find this. You know, and the fact that I did Greenpeace, the little web TV show in the media, that I actually used that as my reel, and that's actually how I got the money. So I did Greenpeace for nothing.
Yeah.
Now, I knew Sean and Joe, the guys that wrote it and produced it.
But you believed in it.
I thought, I was like,
Still
this
do.
is really good, guys.
Yeah.
This is really clever. I did that thinking like, okay, I'm going to I need to do a narrative creative, narrative comedy thing. Did that. That's how I got the money. The guy read it, but was like, yeah, but can he direct? Mike showed him that. He's like, oh, he's cool. We'll do this. So again, sometimes you got to put a little sweat equity into these things to get them across the board. Don't give up. Chase your dreams. Again, I always tell my daughter, you know, do what you like, what excites you. I feel like you've done that, followed your nose, and that's how you ended up here in hell. And that's how I feel like, you know, as long you're always going to have rough days and it's going to be tough sometimes, but as long as you're excited by the process and you're like, you know, holy crap, this edit is so cool. This is dope. This is going to be awesome.
It's leaving work and like being super proud of a edit you've been killing yourself on for a week or two. It's
when you guys out there react to a real world review or this or that, and they're like, man, they crushed that. Dan crushed that edit, and like even like the blog that Jared had from New York the other day, I was like, Dan crushed that with like very minimal like stuff, and I'm like That's so exciting to kind of be able to be in a situation where you can put stuff out in the world, people react to it, respect it. I think most people like the content we put out, especially if you're sitting through us yammering all this time. So
what are your future goals? Kind of like how you asked me.
Feature film stuff. I enjoy writing and telling stories in a narrative situation. So whether it might be episodic, or feature film stuff, or web-based stuff, like the comedy stuff I generally like. I mean, as you guys can tell when you watch RAWtalk, I sit in this other chair acting like a complete ass because I get a kick out of the comedy. So I think if I can do more of the comedic stuff, you know, the stuff we did with Intel, with me and Jared wearing the wigs and all that.
Yep.
Even if it's just that in the meantime. But, yeah, comedic, narrative stuff, so...
Does it have to be you directing, writing, everything, or would you be okay with just coming on board?
I mean, I feel like
you're kind of big on that.
I mean, you've worked with me enough that sometimes I have very strong ideas of how I think it should be. And I'm not always right 100% of the time, but I feel like I'm very comfortable, I should say.
Comfortable, yep. That's how you say it.
My storytelling abilities in this field, I feel like editing has helped me be more confident and then directing. And look, all this stuff that you and I talked about, the crappy things we did in college, the crappy stuff we did in high school, the mistakes we made, the things we learned
still make mistakes.
That process,
for sure.
The bad things that happened that forced us into video, forced us to take certain jobs, forced us to do, or, you know, things we did for free, is how we ended up sitting here, talking on the show, talking to everybody out here.
It's worth it in the end.
And teaching, you know, hopefully teaching people here and there that, you know, the dreams can become a reality. It's just, they don't always become a reality the way that you expected them to. You know, you were going to be, you know, a DJ on air.
Sound engineer,
and now
DJ,
you're
all kinds of different.
But you're probably speaking now to a wider audience than you would have in this market.
Especially with the photography world and video world. Even now, we're kind of merging together.
So with that being said, I mean that's our story. I would ask everybody out there,
what's your story?
What's your story? Damn it! I was gonna ask for a single and be like, what's your story?
I ruined it.
You blew it.
I'm sorry.
Jeez.
But yeah, we are up to the Q&A segment.
Yeah, so we're going to do a little Q&A here. So I'm going to open this up here, and I'm going to see like how much you guys hate what we're doing.
Let's see here.
If we would
it's going to be all negative comments, I bet.
Without a doubt. Oh.
Are we even live? Hopefully we were live this entire time.
I hope so. Well, Dan thought we weren't.
Dan thought we weren't? Uh-oh, that's scary.
Oh, yeah, I definitely saw that we were live.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I definitely saw that we were live.
Let's see here.
So you pull up some stuff here. I need to plug in my computer here for a second.
Oh, I gotta watch a freaking ad?
Is there any kind of relevance to picking your
Say that one more time, Dan.
Frame rate and shutter speed in video. How they're related.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends what you're looking for. Are you looking for more of the cinematic type, or are you looking for just slow motion? Are you going to shoot at 24 frames per second to have some of that nice motion blur, some of that surreal look? Or are you going to shoot at 60 frames per second to make it look realistic, camcorder-like, or know that you're going to slow it down in post?
Right.
Typically, you want to double your shutter speed based on whatever your frame rate is. That's always been the 180 rule. It's always been standard in production. So if you're shooting 24 frames per second, you want to be at 1/48th. Now a lot of DSLRs or mirrorless cameras these days will shoot at 1/50th. That's fine. If you're shooting at 60 frames per second, you want to be at 120 if you're going to slow it down in post. That's always the golden rule of thumb, is to basically double your shutter speed, double your frame rate to get the shutter speed. What are you looking at?
Well, my computer's dead. I can't figure out how to plug it in, so I'm good. So,
That was KS Mason.
KS Mason asked that question. So here's another question. Skylar King asked, question, how can we ensure the fro does not return?
Oh, Jared, I hope you're not going to watch this.
You know, he's not going to watch this.
I don't think he will, to be honest, because he doesn't have the patience to sit down for an hour and watch us.
Yeah, he doesn't watch this show when he's on it, let alone this. Another question from Mark Sailors is, love Todd's video training DVD. I'm assuming the shooting video. Any more in the future? Well, I know Jared's talking about maybe doing an audio training guide with this guy.
We are in talks about it. I think it still will be a ways away. We really haven't. We started a little bit of pre-production.
We kind of have like a layout in terms of like what you want to
Yeah.
discuss and all that. So that might be coming up. And there's other things Jared wants to do in the future.
Possibly,
we might do some more bite-sized stuff.
Bite-sized stuff. Maybe like a flash guide part 2. Or all this is kind of rough in the mix right now. But
and again, you're talking to everybody here minus Jared, and there's only so many hours in a day. So
that's the thing.
You know, that's what it comes down to. But I will say, I'm doing more stuff on my YouTube channel.
Yeah,
kind of like
you've been doing a lot more.
That kind of supplements what the guides have taught, and there's things that I didn't really talk about. Not that I didn't talk about them in the guides, but there's more like nuanced things that I discuss on my YouTube channel. So feel free to check that out.
We've got Shutter Mafia says, say Shutter Mafia. So Shutter Mafia.
Shutter Mafia.
What else we got here? Oh, man. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop, Todd? Someone asked that.
3.
Oh.
3!
I love Q&A asked that.
Nathan Pratt says, thought on camcorders or cell phones for starting out in videos. Absolutely.
Why not?
Shoot whatever gets you an image and helps to tell your story. I use my phone all the time to shoot B-roll. Like even when we're out, I'll shoot B-roll or something.
Now,
Dan will do it.
Granted, I despise when you do that.
I know you do.
But I can clearly tell the difference.
And again, you have access to all types of cameras.
Correct, yeah.
For everybody else out there, that if you just have a phone,
of course,
by all means, shoot with what you got. Just please watch your headroom.
We've got a super chat, actually.
Oh, 30-day reviews ask, any tips for B-roll on small products? Very little visible features for reviews. Need REELtalk more often. Todd, loving your tips on your channel.
Very little visible features. I don't know.
So any tips on B-roll on small products? So small things.
So what I will do is I will bust out a macro lens, first of all.
Yep, for sure.
I'll light it right. I'll usually do like standard 3-point lighting, get like a little hair kicker light or something in the corner. I'll do like a fill and a key, and then I will just get super close. Like when I do beauty shots for our real world reviews, I'll get close up of the dials. I'll get close up of the screen.
Just get really close of it. Cinematic. Make it cinematic.
I'll even do, if you really want to make it cinematic, you can shoot at 60 or 120 frames per second. Shoot it kind of fast, and from there slow it down in post to get that nice crispy. If you don't have like a dolly or a slider or something like that.
Well, and if you're not rich like you and don't have a macro lens at your disposal,
macro lens could be affordable.
Well, a tube extender. I have a tube extender. I got one of those for detailed small things, and I think the tube extenders are wonderful.
Yeah, I've never used one personally.
I love them. I realize like you probably get better results with a dedicated macro lens, but you know, if you're working on a budget and you have a 24-70, put a tube extender on it, boom. I shot a ton of stuff with that. I think that's a great idea. So thank you, 30-day reviews.
Another nice thing too, if you're showing like if it's like an eBay thing or something where you're selling a product, we also have these spinning tables that you can get that are fairly cheap. And you did a even cheaper method by using a bar stool and putting it on there and spinning it.
Oh,
right?
my lens thing?
Your
that
lens
wasn't
thing.
a bar stool.
What was it?
That was DJ Hero. So I had the little DJ
turntable.
Hero turntable, but
Yeah.
it's not a real turntable. It's DJ Hero, so it's like a
I guess you could
peripheral
do a
for a
bar
video
stool if
game.
it- yeah.
And I would just spin it, and I kept spinning it until like it would land where I wanted it to, and then I shot it 60 frames so I could slow it down.
So you could do beauty B-roll shots like that. You can spin it,
If
slow
you know
it
what
down.
you, the thing is, if you know what you want, you can figure out a way to get it. You just got to. Sometimes you got to be creative if you
And
don't have the resources.
I think the biggest thing to make it look cinematic or professional is to add some movement. Again, the slide by, you can just do a whip pan or something with your hand at 120 frames per
just
second.
tilt into it.
Tilt in and then
Tilt.
or
Pan.
Warp stabilize is
tilt.
your friend with this stuff.
Yep.
Keep that in mind if you're a Premiere Pro editor.
Or
Warp
go
stabilize
backwards.
all day.
Or go backwards.
Backwards.
That's
I've
the one
done
thing.
that.
I do that all the time. Shoot it and then whip out of it.
Yep.
And then just reverse the
Yep.
clip.
I just did it with the Intel video.
Yep.
I did
Yep,
it backwards.
yep.
We got another super chat
Blowing up
question
like I thought I
from
would.
Julio Cesar Aras Malanda. I totally butchered that.
Julio.
Julio. Hey guys, do you think licensing a photo for 5 years, unlimited use for $600 US is good? I know nothing about values. We know nothing about values.
We know
probably.
nothing about values. But $600 in my pocket right now for one photo?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
Why not?
But Jared would
What
probably
are you waiting
have the
for?
answer
Somebody
to,
to come with a bigger check?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, look, if I would say if Julio is selling lots of stuff at a higher, like if his rate's higher, but if this is his first gig, you might need to take it on the chin. Even if you think it's worth more, take less, get your name out there. If it's going to be on a product or a book, and then people can look and be like, "Oh, you took that photo." It's part of your portfolio. Like, "Oh, look, my picture's on a box of cereal."
Yeah.
Or whatever.
My thing is, if you make a buck out of it, why not? Like if
That's
it's
good.
decent,
I think $600
is
is good money.
yeah. I mean, it's
Dan
better
would
than
take that
zero.
every day of the week.
Real quick, can we get a Charlie Gluten impression?
Yeah, man, I'm cool, man. I just had I got gluten-free bagels at the co-op the other day. You know what I'm saying? That motherfucker's good.
We've got Daniel Gonzalez asks, why don't you guys do more wildlife or nature video and photography? I personally don't like to take pictures of people. I will say Jared is the complete opposite.
He's a people person.
It's more personal
Yes.
taste. He likes to shoot people. He feels that they tell a better story. He's more of a photojournalist, likes to shoot in that type of environment where nature photography is just not his thing, and we just rarely do it.
He likes the emotion of people.
Yeah.
Which I get it.
He has to have a person in the frame, and
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I also get nature photography at the same time, though, but that's
I like birdies
why.
and doggies.
What else we got here? What are your go-to Final Cut X plugins? That's interesting, Todd. I know nothing about that.
What are
but-
your go-to Final Cut plugins for color grain reduction? I do not have a ton of plugins for color and like things like that on Final Cut. I tend to purchase a lot of like
third-party plugins?
third-party things that are more like
Titles and graphics already.
creative, like titles, graphics, themes, transitions. Like Morgan has a whole
was gonna say
series
Morgan.
of
Yeah.
This is where I experiment all the time, is on Morgan's
Why
YouTube
not?
videos. She's got a whole series of holiday videos. So I just
like
went and bought a theme for like $30.
Halloween, Christmas.
And it's literally just like a snowflake transition and,
Yeah.
and lower thirds that has like snowflakes and a whole intro thing that I can drop video into. And it looks like $1 million. It cost me $29.99.
Yeah.
And that's where I tend to do my plugin stuff. I don't generally get too much in the weeds of like color correction or adding grain, because a lot of that stuff's built into the programs.
Yeah, a lot of it is this. So from a Premiere Pro type editor, we use Red Giant's Universe software, and that's a lot of
I have Red Giant as well.
Yep.
It works on Final Cut as well.
a lot of custom transitions, a lot of motion blur, warp stabilized effects, like shaky hand type effects, that kind of stuff, VHS look, all that.
Yeah.
But that's what we'll use that for. We don't really have any other plugins that we really use. A lot of it's stock, and we'll manually mess it up and make it work. Someone asked, would you ever think about shooting a whole video on a mirrorless camera like a Sony? And that one was for me. Yeah, we just shot the entire Sony A7R III review with the Sony A7R III. I loved it. The only thing I didn't like is I felt that if I based the entire exposure off the histogram, even though clearly my highlights aren't blown out based on the histogram, I would bring it back in post and they were blown out. So I don't really understand that. I didn't shoot S-Log. I did shoot the standard picture profile, which was a little custom. I took like the sharpening down and stuff. But yeah, I didn't really understand that. Some of my clips were a little blown out in Premiere. But no issues there, really. I loved using it. It's the same with any camera. I mean, you pick it up, set it the same way, and works the same.
Whatever gets you
Whatever
the best,
works.
whatever allows you to tell your story. One guy I saw earlier, this Stephen Crease, said, "What lighting setup are you using for this?" He said it looks really good.
So thank you. First of all, we're using the Kino Flow 4-banger, the 4-foot 4 banks. What was that, Dan? You're wide, you're saying? Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Let's cut to Dan's awesome-looking GoPro camera right now.
You can see some lights back.
Which, by the way, we're doing this with a Wi-Fi connection, so it looks like
dog shit.
like dog shit. But we will be hardwired in next week, hopefully, for that angle. Anyway, we have Kino Flows, 2 4-foot ones lighting Todd and I up. We've got 2 daylight LEDs in the back for the background, and that's
pretty much it.
And then we got daylight lighting up Dan, which really there's not much light at all there.
Daylight's for Dan. That's just an open window.
But usually for the full RAWtalk, where Todd's seat is, where he normally is.
We should probably put less light on Dan, because then nobody really wants to see that.
But for Todd's seat, we usually have a front key light and background light, same thing. So Kino Flows, but the LEDs, man, aperture, for example, you've got them.
I just
they
got
make
2
some
aperture ones.
Inexpensive options.
Yep, and they are
and they're great. The bicolor.
The bicolor, I love them. I love them. Stephen, can you do a tutorial on setting up the A7R III for video?
Interesting question. I don't know. Is that a tutorial that people want to see? Yeah, I was actually telling Todd too that what I was doing when we were shooting the Arizona Sony A7R III review is I was switching between M1 and M2, their memory 1 and 2, which is same as C1, 2, and 3 for Canon. It's like their preset. You can lock it and set it as a preset.
Yeah.
So I would switch and have one set to 120 frames per second slow motion and make sure the frame rate was doubled. I mean, the shutter speed was doubled, everything set, locked in.
Yeah.
And then when I shot 4K full frame, I would make sure that's all locked in too at like 1/50th of a second. Open wide my aperture at like 2.8 or something and shoot shallow. But everything was locked in, different settings. So I would easily shoot from M1 and then switch to slow motion, back to 4K, slow motion, back to 4K with a press of a button. And it was incredible.
Wow, that's nice.
Because following someone like Jared around all day and having who knows what happened.
No rhyme or reason.
You don't know what's going to happen next.
Documentary style, for sure.
So you can easily just swap the button to M1 or M2 and have everything already set and ready to go. So...
Well, Stephen Williams
maybe I'll do it one day.
Also asked, and somebody else asked about this. How's Dan's baby?
Yeah.
I don't know. How's your baby, Dan? 100% healthy. Still looks like Dan, which is unfortunate, but
I was waiting for something. I thought you were going to yell at him.
The baby's arms are bigger than Dan's, though, from what I've seen.
And something else, too, right?
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Someone said,
Here we
Stephen,
go.
did you use the S&Q dial on the Sony? I did, but basically what I did is I made the M1, the S&Q dial, with more custom options set. So similar, yes.
Andreas Nevia. Question: loving your background stories, guys. Thank you. What lens would you recommend for shooting video for interviews and photos? Canon 80D. Dude, I would say 24-70. If you're looking for your first
24-105 though is always my go-to.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah. You know what? I take that back.
Yeah.
24-105.
Because you're still at
is
f4.
A great lens.
It's an L lens. It's also expensive. Don't get me wrong. It's like
sure.
The version 1 you can probably get used for like under 500. I bet now.
Ooh, I should get one of those.
Yeah, we have actually 2 version 1s. We bought them when we were initially going to shoot with like C300s, and we never did.
Oh,
so we barely use them.
I love that 24-105.
It's a great lens.
Yeah.
If I had to choose one lens to use forever, I'd probably use that because it's kind of your full range.
Especially the run and gun stuff,
yeah.
like with Jared and all that stuff.
Yep. We've got, do you specifically set up 24 and 30 frames per second clips and record 60-120 for slow-mo at a different time and bring it all together in post, or do you switch between different frames per second a lot? Oh, I kind of already answered that. I switch between it back and forth as we're shooting. I do slow-mo and 4K, regular 24. What else we got?
Brian Cotes, what conferences will you be attending in 2018?
That's a good question. So Photokina is going to be, I think, as of next year, happening annually. It used to be every 2 years. Now I think it's going to be every year. Maybe we'll go to that. With Jared, it's always like you don't know until
the day before.
The day before.
Hey, we're going to Germany, guys.
He's got some FOMO going on usually.
I had to hide in his bags because I didn't have a passport.
NAB we might do. I know there was
That was
talks of going
fun.
to that.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, I think if we go to these conferences in the future, I know what we've been talking about a lot is from a shooting and editing standpoint, potentially like bringing like a bird-armed editor with us, like Dan, and like literally going to these conferences, shooting something, handing off like the cards, and him just cutting like small bite-sized things and uploading them immediately.
So at the Sony A7R III launch event, Jared was kind of doing that, where
Exactly.
he was there by himself shooting just vlogs and B-roll, terrible B-roll. But he was sending them back to us via Dropbox, like uploading in real time when he got back to the hotel.
Amazing. Yes.
I would get it, edit it up. We did a hands-on impression like within, I don't know, an hour or two that he sent me the footage, put it right up and send it out into the world. So that's kind of the same mentality.
I
but
think
we'd be
that's
on
what
site
we're
together.
talking about. Like whether or not, you know, Dan's at NAB or we just Dropbox stuff. Like I grab the card, I run and start go to the media room to just start uploading immediately and just turning stuff around. I think that's probably the format we might do in the future, as opposed to, I know you guys in the past and when I was involved did a full on like
Booth
hour long
like
review of the whole thing.
And it would take me a week to edit, so it would come out like a week and a half later.
So most of the news is kind of like
which at that point is like, yeah,
exactly.
It's not even relevant. What did someone just ask on here that I wanted to answer?
Well, Ahmad Beber said, I'm a dentist that wants to be a photographer. Am I crazy? Yes, and you should still do it. Take pictures of teeth.
If you're a dentist, you should probably get a Leica with all the doctors.
Oh, I know. You got money falling out your pocket.
I wanted to bring up the recap from the conferences. Dude, I used to walk around with the shoulder rig, like a Red Rock micro shoulder rig, and I would have the 5D audio, like the Atomos Shogun. I'd have like 30 pounds on my freaking shoulder.
I remember that. I remember it was brutal.
Now it's like XC10 or give me a Sony mirrorless camera or something. It's so much better.
Yeah. I think you definitely have to consider
I would have to stop
different
midway.
rigs for running and gunning than you do for like I can sit on a tripod every shot. Yeah, like that's a different setup. One Eye Blind Media, my homie, seems to always comment on my videos. Sure. Todd, tips on marketing to local small town businesses for my video services. I think that's a really good question. I would say one thing I did was I put together like a package, a small business package, on like a flyer, and I literally went around just in my neighborhood in Philly, but it was like, you know, my little neighborhood, and just started handing them out. Like, might have been like $500 for like to come in, interview for like a half an hour, and then like shoot some B-roll.
That's great.
Shoot the exterior and then give it to them edited for their YouTube channel. Maybe not $500. Maybe I think it might have been $1,500 or $1,000. But I feel like video is so important to these small businesses nowadays to put on their website or YouTube channel. You know your market better than anybody else.
Sure.
So maybe it's $1,500. Maybe it's $500. If you're living at home
in a major city, I would.
If you're in a small town living at home, $500 to get your feet wet in the local community, and then people start talking about it, because then all of a sudden people's like, "Oh, where'd you get your video done? It looks great. Oh, Bob did it up the street, or Carl did it over. You know, don't use Jared Polin though; he's terrible." So I mean, people talk. You know what I mean? I think that's the way to do it. Ooh, we got $10.
$10 from Boosted TV.
Beers on Boost TV.
Wait, but Jared's getting all this money. How are we gonna?
We need to figure that out.
Speaking of the 24-105 on an 80D, that's what we just started using. What wide lens? Now, 24-105 though on an 80D. Just keep in mind that's crop factor.
It's crop. Yeah. 10-22.
What lens would you recommend for our next edition? Todd says
EFS 10-22. I think that's what's still around.
10-22 is still around. It's super cheap, I think.
Maybe $900.
Keep in mind, not an L lens, but you're shooting video. No. You can get away with a little more.
And it's a variable aperture. I think it's like 3.5 to 5.6, maybe, or 4.5. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I own that lens. I still use it to this day. I've used it on red cameras with a Canon mount, and people have borrowed it for music videos. We
were using it for the vlogs at first for a little while.
I've used it on my 60D. I've used it on that 77D that you guys had.
Just keep in mind, if you are thinking about upgrading to full frame, you will not be able to use that lens on a Canon full frame camera.
But because you have a 80D crop sensor camera, that's probably the hardest thing to get is that wide lens.
Super wide.
That, you know, you're in a small space, like we were just talking about when you're shooting at like the radio station and you're like, I can't get wide because I'm at 24, but in reality I'm at like, what, 50 millimeters?
Well, not that much, but yeah, you're like 30-something.
You're at 30-something, so you can't get this whole room.
Yeah.
It's not 24 millimeters.
And it's same with like the 11 to 24. I mean, first of all, it's a crazy expensive lens.
Yes.
Awesome lens, rectilinear, but at the same time, it's $3,000. It's 11 to 24, which in a crop sensor body would be like a 16 to 35 or something.
Yep. 10 to 22 all day on that 80D. All day, every day of the week.
Yeah, yeah. You do love that lens.
I love it because I love it, and it's so wide. At 10, you get the bend, and when I used to shoot music videos, I'd always throw that lens on the ground, shoot it straight up at people.
You always do that slider move, that hero shot.
Every day of the week I would do that, and every time I would do it, people would be like, "Man, that's dope.
That's so
that's
dope.
The dopest. That's super dope."
It is in the Fro music video.
I use it in the Fro music. I'm telling you, that look at 10 to 22, put it on the ground on a slider. You're welcome.
What else did I want to say? Oh, and I do want to just keep in mind, too, if you're doing video work, you can get away with a less sharp lens than like an L lens or something.
And that 24 to 105 being f4, who cares?
Because with the compression, usually you can get away with it being a little off. But
trying to run and gun and keep focus, well, I guess if you got like an 80D and it's dual pixel autofocus now, you don't have to worry as much as when I used to pull focus.
Yeah.
But... yeah, anyway, 10 to 22.
Let's see.
I'm talking. Shut up.
I'm thinking. Where's JP? Someone asked. Just if you are just chiming in, he is doing a personal project in LA. He'll be back actually in like an hour. He should be home. He should just land.
Yeah, he's balling out of control. He was doing some big deal stuff.
Dude, I wonder if he's gonna come here and crash our live stream.
He will crash.
He's probably watching right now.
I saw something about a difficult client. Hope you. I don't know what that question was.
Any plans you guys come to New York soon, do a meet and greet and hang? Jared was just there for Photo Plus. I mean, that was, I guess, a month ago at this point. But we every now and then go to New York, but it's always spur of the moment, like very last minute. And it's usually to meet up and do like a photo shoot with a specific person that Jared, like maybe part of his personal project.
Yeah.
We rarely go up. We should go up more often. Sorry.
I keep seeing somebody keeps asking about what would you do if you're dealing with a difficult client?
Okay.
I mean, with Jared, we
deal with difficult clients every day, right?
I mean, look, I feel like there's always the possibility of things going south or just creative differences, especially if your client fancies themselves as creative as well.
Yeah.
That's always been where I have the most issues is when I have a client that fancies themselves as a creative. And I'm not talking about Jared. I'm definitely talking about other people that I've dealt with.
Sure. I'm just reading comments.
Well, especially with like music video stuff. I mean, at the core of that, you have an artist already that you're working with. They may have ideas that the way they want to see it. So you just have to be, you have to always play the positive.
I was going to say be positive.
Always play the positive. Like, man, that's a great idea. I'm going to see how I can try to incorporate that. Maybe meet them halfway. Maybe make them feel like you're trying to meet them halfway.
Yeah, you're going to meet in the middle, but you're really not.
You just have to you have to validate people's concerns, stuff like that, without knowing too many details about like, what the problem is. It happens no matter what, especially in a creative space, because it's not like 1 + 1 = 2 all the time. Like, it's not a definitive like answer all the time with creative stuff.
Never.
It's like
it's never simple.
You're pulling stuff out of thin air, or that you're making something out of nothing. So
someone actually just asked, what gets you guys out of creative ruts? God, I don't even know.
Destiny. Video games.
Beer.
Dan's making a smoking signal in his camera.
Yeah, that's always tough. I know Jared said he gets inspired with still photography, with photo books. He tends to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Movies. I watch movies sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any specific thing I can say that gets me out of like a creative rut. Like, I know with editing, I'll be stuck on an edit for days trying to figure out how am I going to get around this specific area or fix this section, and it just eventually, after just nonstop thinking about it, just comes together.
Well, usually what happens to me
is trial and error.
When I'm stuck like that, is walking away from it.
Definitely taking a break.
Walking away, And usually
coming back to it a couple days later.
maybe, you know, go to bed, wake up the next morning, in the shower all of a sudden, because you're always still
Light
thinking
bulb
about it. You're
goes
always like,
off.
oh, I should do that.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to get around that stuff.
Someone said to buy 2 16-gigabyte cards or 132. It depends. Are you going to be shooting everything on that 132 and not really backing it up and using it more as storage? Because I wouldn't recommend that.
I mean, I would, because what are you going to do when you're waiting? Like, if this is video, like, what are you doing while that 132 gigabyte card's dumping? Like,
Well, and the other thing
sit
is,
around and do nothing?
for still photography too, you always want dual redundancy. You want backup. If you have 2 card slots, I would recommend 2 16-gig cards. However, with a high megapixel camera, that fills up pretty fast.
Yeah, I would always want to have 2 cards, no matter what the size is, just to
We
from a
shoot-
video standpoint, just to be able to swap, because you can be dumping
Yeah.
one card while you're shooting another. I used to have, I mean, I keep 3 or 4 now all the time around just to swap out.
Yep.
'Cause-
I've
and
always
you shoot
got
4K, they disappear.
I've got like 10 of them already pre-formatted and ready to go because with 4K, like you just said, we use 64 gig cards and they fill up with a fix, for example. It's probably I don't know 40 gigs each episode, and that's maybe 25 minutes of us filming for a 6-minute episode. And yeah, that's how much it fills up. So stills you should be fine, but
yeah,
if you're shooting video,
video is
tough
you
to say.
should have as much storage as you can possibly buy, and you would want to have more than one card for video.
Yeah, yeah. Someone said, is the desk rotating? No, it's actually, we have a slider shot. It's the Red Rock Micro one-man crew. This is the 2 shot, and it's actually sliding back and forth.
Oh, and somebody asked me the other day, is it quiet?
It's extremely quiet.
Super quiet.
Can't hear it at all.
Because they asked me, I was like, well, I think it's quiet because I sit behind it and I don't hear it, and I hear nothing.
The only thing I hear is the live stream box. It's crazy loud.
Yeah.
It's got like 2 fans in it.
Yeah, all I can hear is people stopping watching the show because it's going so long.
We should probably wrap.
The sound of disappointment.
How long are we going? Anyway?
How long are we going, Dan?
1:45.
An
Did we just
hour
get a
and
camera
45?
die too? Did a camera just die? Did Todd's angle just die? Yeah, Todd's angle just died. All right, let's wrap it up then.
Yeah.
Hour 45 we've been doing
There's
this
no
for?
way. There's no way we've been talking for an hour and 45.
Dude, it's 2:16.
Oh my gosh.
Holy crap.
Holy jeez. Yeah, we got to get done.
I thought this was gonna be like a 40
I don't know what happened.
Jeez.
No, the last time I looked at the clock, it was like 45 minutes.
Wow.
I was like, oh yeah, well,
I didn't think we had enough stuff to talk about, personally.
see,
That's funny.
diarrhea of the mouth.
Anyway, all right, well, that's it.
That was awesome, guys.
Sorry we couldn't answer more questions.
Yeah, we'll maybe we'll do it again next week, I guess.
We'll be here next week. Yeah, so Jared will be
Let us know
away.
if you liked us talking about video and
Life.
And life, and I think
Our
maybe
history, our
next week
backstory.
we will
gonna
show
switch
some
it
of
up.
our bad videos.
We'll show some bad videos from our early editing. I think we're going to show some still photography, too. You might have some of Morgan's pictures that you shot.
Oh, yeah.
I'll probably
Yeah,
bring
yeah.
up some Christmas photos and explain how I
We'll
lit
mix it
them
up.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll mix
we'll
it up a little bit.
figure it out, but we'll do another Q&A section at the end.
Yes.
And yeah, I can't believe we've
do it
been
a little
talking
shorter,
that.
a little quicker.
This is like the longest episode.
Well, you're so not used to talking.
I usually can't ever talk.
So
Let's-
see this.
yeah,
You didn't
I'm
have
used-
this. You didn't have this, and this is why we took too long. So
All right,
with
all
that
right.
being said, we're
Wrap it
wrapping this up.
We're going to just say bye, I guess.
I guess
we'll be here next Friday.
Todd and Stephen, Real Talk.
REELtalk.com. No, that doesn't work. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Peace.